Okay, good afternoon, and I call this meeting to order, please, on this Tuesday, June the 24th, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District number 35 Governing Boardroom, District Office 570 Camino Lito Galindo, Rio Rico, Arizona. May we please stand for the pledge? Mr. Guerrero, would you lead us, please?
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Opening items, call to order, Ms. Alma de la Riva. Mr. Guerrero.
Here.
Mr. Ramirez.
Here.
We missed you last time. Mr. Beach.
Present.
And me, Ms. Vasquez, we have a quorum. Okay, moving on. Subject B, adoption of the agenda.
One item to remove is the executive session related to treasure matters. If we could remove that, please.
Okay, the executive session. Do I have to make any questions? Okay,
Just
recommendation.
a move, yeah.
Okay, motion to approve the agenda as presented, removing that number. Okay, yes, all those in favor, say aye.
Did we get a second on that?
Get a
second? Second. We didn't get a.
So all those opposed, all those in favor, say aye. Okay, okay. Opposed, say nay. Okay, I know, tell me about it. Motion passes. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I think I missed something, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
You got it good.
I got it good. All righty. Okay, call to the public? There's nothing. And presentations. We have a recognition of Daniel L. Woodrum, Mr. Connor, Verdugo, Mr. Verdugo.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. So tonight, we always try to recognize students that perform with honors and excellence in our school district. And this spring, we missed recognizing Daniel for his accomplishment, but I won't tell you what that is. I'll let Mr. Verdugo and Mr. Kumar explain what that is. So like Mr. Kumar will go you first, and then Verdugo will then.
Thank you, everyone. So we are recognizing on behalf of Rio Rico High School Admin Team and representing them. We are recognizing Daniel for his 34 out of 36 on ACT exam, which is a pretty comprehensive score. And it puts him under the 99th percentile. And there's only, that's like less than 1% of the students have scored 34 or higher. So that puts him at an advantage of getting into the competitive colleges, getting into getting all kinds of scholarships. And that's why we wanted to recognize Daniel Woodburn.
Oh,
So, Mr. Verdugo, if you'd like to share some words about Daniel, because in the spring, we were supposed to recognize Daniel, and Verdugo brought up to my attention that we had not recognized him, so I wanted to make sure that he shared a few things about Daniel as well.
Yes, I had the great privilege of having Daniel in my weights class. Okay, I was coach. I just want to say, when you look at his score, scoring 34, a lot of people compare it to winning like the lottery, I would say, essentially. But the thing is, it's nothing like the lottery, because Daniel had zero luck in this process. He earned his score because the type of individual he is. He's very resilient, hardworking, tough, gritty, and overall just a great human being. So whatever he decides to do, because I know he's a junior, going to be a senior, and he's getting ready to make big decisions with that score, he's going to continue to have success because he created it, and he'll continue to create it, whether it's being an engineer, finance, or following his father's footsteps and being a sports information director. He's going to continue to do great things, not only for himself, but for others, because he's a great leader as well. So I just want to say congratulations, Daniel. You deserve this and much more.
The high school's a donation from Pivot Sports to provide a backpack as well as a $50 gift card. And then I will let Connor also explain that he has his Lobos team that has been sponsoring students and activities. And so he also has Lobos that will be donating $50 to Daniel as well as an award.
And on top of that, internship opportunity, so he could begin his SID career as sports information director because of his extreme passion for athletics. So congrats.
Ready? 1, 2. Congratulations, Mom.
Bring this all next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kumar, Mr. Kumar, so Mom.
Glad that you finally got it.
Hold
They
on.
were next.
Yeah.
Hang on, pal.
Uh-huh.
What's his name?
Yes, I'll ask him right now.
He's not gonna let him go.
No.
No, I mean. I wouldn't let him go anyway.
Yeah?
Daniel, you have the, now. You know the drill, you've been here before.
Well, thank you, everyone, all teachers who brought this to light, and obviously to all my parents and my people in attendance, my father listening online, and yeah, all the teachers at school didn't come, but have been a huge impact to me. Taught me drive, as Coach Connor said, just how to be a good person and to try hard on things like these. Yeah, it pays off. So I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much.
I know the board's gonna have some questions for you.
Salma, do you have?
Okay. Yeah, congratulations, congratulations from the bottom of my heart. I'm sure your family is very, very proud of you. And your hard work paid off, and I'm sure you're gonna go great places.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Mr. Guerrero?
Yeah, congratulations. That's pretty amazing, pretty awesome. And I look forward to hearing what the future has in store for you. It's awesome.
Absolutely, thank you. Mr. Ramirez?
Well, at first I thought it was gonna be about the spelling bee.
Hey.
That's right. Oh, my God. Okay, I remember him now. My God, oh, my goodness, that's cool.
That's not part of the ACT, unfortunately.
I know, but I bet you it helped you.
Yeah.
Some way, sorry.
No, I don't wanna hear about the 34 points. I wanna hear about the 2. Like, did they stick in your craw and what were the questions?
Yeah, you need to pay for the answer key to figure that out.
Well, it's such a pleasure to see you here in the boardroom after all those years and watching you grow up. It's really cool. So, yeah,
Thank you so much.
you have so many accomplishments under the belt. And I think I said this, but if I didn't before, when I saw you the last time doing the spelling bee stuff, I used to teach at Rio Rico High School and I was a chess coach. I did other stuff. I coached basketball and some other things. Kind of fell in my lap later, but I coached chess. And I always used to look at you and you had won the spelling bee. I could tell you were a real analytical kind of guy, and you spoke and you're pretty funny for a kid, It's witty, but really honestly, I wish I would have had a chance to coach somebody like you in chess, because that funny would have learned a lot. But congratulations, you did a fantastic job, and thank you for representing our community.
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Beach?
My turn? Yeah. Yeah, I've known you since you were knee-high or grasshopper, so see how you matured through the years. I definitely want to give a shout out to the grandparents, mom, dad. You guys did an amazing job raising them. And because of what you instilled into them, this is the product right here, an amazing young man. Santa Cruz County is super happy of all your accomplishments and the amount of work that it takes to score that high, 99 percentile, I believe. And the amount of hours that you studied, I think you said it started to pay off, or it did pay off. And that paycheck is going to come into free ride once you graduate, because that equates to about $100,000 because you're going to be going to any school that you want for free.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the parents are happy about that, Ellen. Yeah. So you got some tough decisions coming up on which school you want to attend, but sky's the limit for you, and continue with those traits, and you're definitely gonna go far in life. Yep. So I'm super proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Beach.
Yeah, Same as everybody said, everybody took everything out of my mouth. I'm the one that always ends up at the end, but I want to say exactly what everybody says. But congratulations for for doing what you did. And we can tell you, and I remember you, like I said, when you were smaller, okay, I mean, and in the spelling bee and unbelievable what 1 or 2 years will do, for for students, and you look at you guys and you're like, oh my God, you were like this high, like he said, just a couple of years ago. But, congratulations also from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very, very much for everything. And we expect nothing but good things from you, okay? Thank you for representing Rio Rico High School the way you have our community and all of the students. I mean, you, a chip on your shoulder, you're high up there, okay? So congratulations. Thank you so, so very much, okay? I wish you nothing but good things.
Thank you all.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much. The next thing is the superintendent.
Ellen?
We're moving on to subject B, superintendent's report, Mr. Verdugo.
We can let them sneak out if they.
Oh, all righty. Okay, we will wait. Thank you so much. Also, parents, thank you. Congratulations to the parents.
Yep.
Congratulations.
All right, Daniel.
Pick the best school, okay, that gives you more. Okay? Thank you, Connor.
Bye.
Bye.
Check out the backpack.
You can trade it in if you'd like.
Yeah.
Huh?
But it's some style.
Yes.
I know, yeah. It's got pink, and you'd be surprised how many boys like pink, my granddaughter likes pink. Okay, so do we go with the
Superintendent. Yep.
superintendent's report, Mr. Verdugo?
Thank you. Wanted to let the board know that Ms. Padilla is not here today. She is representing our district in Montana. She is presenting at Knowledge Works gathering in Montana. So wanted to share with the board again all the different things that our district does, including sharing us on a national stage. And so they're having a convening there, and so she's representing us. Want to thank all of the teachers that participated in summer school, which just ended last week. Which was 2 sessions. So thank you for all that work that they put in to teach summer school. We've got a lot of sports teams working and doing stuff this summer. So want to thank them. I know we have cross country going to camp, I think pretty soon. And we also have basketball going to New Mexico, all the way to eastern New Mexico, way on the eastern side this weekend. So I know we have a lot of other teams traveling and doing other things, but also want to let the board know that we'll be transitioning with our food service and our facilities in the next few weeks. And so we're starting that process. And so they've been doing the walkthroughs and getting ready to do that transition. And so
Thank you. Moving on, subject governing board, member report, Ms. De La Riva. Okay, Mr. Guerrero,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Ramirez.
Yes, I'd like to welcome Estela Riva. I just want to say that it's so nice to see you here. You're so good-hearted and just a really good person all the way around and a fine lady. And I think you're gonna do really great things for the governing board.
Thank you.
Say that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if there's anything I can do to help you in any way, feel free to ask.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Beach.
Yes, let's see, I think the principals should begin a little vacay pretty soon, at least a week off.
Yeah.
Make sure you take that week off and just enjoy.
Yeah,
I mean,
relax.
that mental breather away from just work. We don't want to see you on site. So you guys stay out of here and clear your minds. We got a busy year coming up. Pool's back up and running. Thank you, Audra. Your crew's doing an amazing job. My granddaughter Ava, she's 6 and she came all excited. She held her breath for 20 seconds.
Oh.
Yep, so she's super excited on that. Yeah, so proud of her. Yep. But other than that, enjoy your summer, and that's all I got.
Yeah. Thank you. Same thing with me. Principals, please, enjoy, rest, relax, okay? Everything's coming back to you, like 100-fold, and you guys are doing such a good job and we just want you guys to be rested and relaxed when you guys come back, okay? Full force in a couple of weeks, okay? Audra, I've heard nothing but good things from the kids and from everybody there. They're having a ball. They're having such a good time with with everybody there, with, the people that you guys have chosen for lifeguards, okay? They're going above and beyond because they're really helping, the little ones, the smaller ones and, and stuff like that. And the older ones are noticing and they're saying things, like, oh my God, this kid, he's in the high school or she's in the high school. And he really was helping my little sister, my little brother, so all of those things, we hear them and all that comes back, to you guys. You guys are doing. I know we have a conference that's coming up in a little bit, so I can't wait to see that one. I know that we have a really good time over there. I don't know how many of you guys are going, but I hope all of us go, like in the past that we've all been at the same time. So anyway, thank you very much for everything, and that's all I have. Moving on, information, discussion, action. Let me see, subject, fiscal year 26, proposed budget, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. So this is our required timeframe to present our budget for fiscal year 26. Although the state does not have a budget yet, we are still required legally to make sure that we follow our statutory requirements. And so tonight is our proposed budget. So I'll work over to Ms. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Verdugo. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. As Mr. Verdugo just mentioned, and I guess it's starting to become the norm, we do not have an approved budget from the state at this time. This is probably the third, if not the fourth year in a row this happens. But we need to continue with the budget process because the deadlines are defined in statute. Therefore, those deadlines are non-negotiable. What does that mean? It means that the Department of Education, with collaboration from the Office of the Auditor General, they put together just that do not really reflect any changes for next year. In essence, they are just a copy of our current year's budget, and we're just using them for next year. Why are we doing that? Because without an adopted budget, I can't process payroll, I can't pay provider. Businesses can start operation. That's why it's critical. It's important to move forward with the budget process even when we use preliminary forms. Okay. A lot of the information that I'll be sharing with you today is information that the board already took action on the compensation package. What does that look like? There will be a little bit of a refresher of actions that already took place in prior agendas. Okay. Once we receive the final forms, then I'll come back. The law allows me to come back before September 15th with the first budget revision, which in that case, I will be doing a revision to move all the data into the new forms. If I don't screw this up. So what do we see on the forms that you have in front of you is the support level. The amounts that I'm gonna just share with you are identical to our fiscal 25 of our current fiscal year, okay? So amount per student of 5,013. The amount of reimbursement per mile, $2.42. And then for our capital fund, for the grade levels of preschool to 8th grade, $549.45, and then for high school, $608. Again, nothing new. Same support levels we used for the current fiscal year. Now, there were two changes that ADE and the Office of the Auditor General did incorporate into this, and that is the elimination of the fields where we could capture one-time funding that was given to us, because it was just that one-time funding. So what was that funding? So let's review real quick. They eliminated the place for us to calculate a one-time adjustment for free and reduced price lunch students. So what does that mean to us? I eliminated from our budget, about $250,000, $248,479. That is a reduction to our general fund. That's where we accounted for that fund, for those funds this year. The second one-time funding that we captured this year, and this one, there's a lot of talk about this one. I'm obviously hearing this when you attend your meetings, and get your emails from the associations that you participate in, is the elimination of Prop 123 funding. So in this case, the adjustment came in at 154,553. This Prop 123, there were conversations about whether it's going to go back in the ballot this coming November, right? But there's a lot of back and forth of how they're going to restructure the money that we received from this proposition. You recall there's conversations about, well, everything should go to increase just teacher salaries, right? And then the argument is, well, yes, but districts are not just made up of teacher salaries. And then they keep defining a teacher as those teachers that are only in the classroom providing direct instruction to the students. So then what happens to all of those that are teachers that hold teaching certificates but are acting outside of the classroom to enhance the experience for the students, right? Those that work to make teachers better teachers. Those that have moved out of that role, but they're still teachers. And we always get those questions from those individuals, but I'm still a teacher. When you left the classroom. And the state every year they find a way to further define who is a teacher. And they're not basing that definition on whether you hold a teaching certificate. It's more on if you are delivering direct instruction to the students. And some people love it, right? Because you're that teacher that's in that classroom providing that instruction, right? But if you're a teacher that's moved away from that classroom, all of a sudden you're outside of that. So a lot of conversations, a lot of back and forth. There's some group is saying that we might see this being funded as a second 1 year funding out of the general fund. I don't know about that. I have my doubts since the state doesn't have the general fund. I can't tell it. All I know is that it's on the radar to be. So how is it that we build a budget? Okay, just a friendly reminder that budgets in school districts are based on enrollment, right? On ADM, not so much enrollment, but the average daily membership. But I like to tell people it's enrollment. It's the number of kids that we have in our district that generates the funding and pretty much delineates a budget limit for the district. So because we are funded on same year enrollment, as I mentioned in the past, I do a enrollment projection for the district where I use prior year. I look at prior years, I look at what happens during the summer, I look at what happens during the course of the year, and then that's how that's the projection that I use to build the budget. So tonight's budget, it's based on 3,390 students. Okay, so how does that compare itself? That is an overall decrease of 151 students. Okay. I'm very conservative, and I've said this in the past. We're always going to start very conservative. If we gain more students, we'll revise the money and we'll add that money back into the budget without a problem. Okay, but I don't want to inflate the budget and over project on the students and then have to come back and reduce the budget when we issued contracts. That would be very dangerous and it would put the district in a very uncomfortable position. So as of June 16th, our enrollment, as reported by the Welcome Center, was 3,380. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Just real quick, but just to remind the board, this is a thing that's annually that we go through this process. And this last year, for fiscal year 25, we were projecting a similar, about 136, if I remember correctly, decline, but we made up that during the year where we actually almost broke even. So that is always our goal, but it's just a reminder that low birth rates, high graduation, so we've been bringing in, right now, I think there's 176, at the last count, kinder students. But remember, we graduated almost 400. So we're looking at that gap already. So that's where some of this number comes from. But we always, as Mr. Brown mentioned, we fiscally want to make sure that whatever we commit to when we give those contracts out in the spring, we're able to meet throughout the year. So we never want to compromise ourselves and say, oh, we over budgeted, now we have to cut back during the year. Whatever we have, we're very confident that we'll be able to meet throughout the year, even if we do have a slight decline in enrollment. And again, the goal is.
I had a question just before we move on, it just, where the, like, where you eliminate the one-time free and reduced price lunches, okay, we absorb that, right? So does that mean that our students are still free?
It has nothing to do.
It has nothing to do with that. Okay.
The fact that this one-time funding went away doesn't change our model of how we feed our students in our cafeteria. They'll be different things.
So then all of our students are free.
Yes, we continue to have a community commitment in our school cafeterias. That's an excellent question. All of our students, regardless of their income level, will continue to receive a free meal.
So then this has nothing to do with that. Okay, I was just under the impression that, I was, oh my God, are our kids gonna have to, and I've seen the bus, like even in the summer where the families get their, they get their meals and all that stuff. And I mean, like, that's like fantastic for our community and for our students, because we know how many kids actually rely on the school lunches, for their meals, okay? So, okay.
As a side note, only because you mentioned it, it's not in the presentation, but we're serving about 1,200 meals daily. With the bus route. Yeah.
With the bus route?
With the bus route.
Oh, thank you. I thank you for the clarification. And I'm sorry, I was gonna ask you before, but
Thank you for stopping.
thank you.
The other thing that I want to add before we leave student counts, and the reason why we take a very conservative approach, you've probably seen in the news, so-and-so school district closing one school, so-and-so school district closing 2 schools. And I think that's the combination of 2 factors. One, a strong presence of charters in their communities, strong access to vouchers program by their community members, and not right-sizing their operation in a timely manner. So if I ignore the indicators that my enrollment is trending down, and I don't have those conversations with leadership, and I say, hey, listen, we need to adjust. We need to adjust. And we don't take those actions in a timely manner. We're not right-sizing our operation every year and reviewing, what we should have. Then eventually, because nobody closes a school from one year nobody loses that kind of enrollment from one year to close an entire campus. So for us, it's crucial. It's been part of what I think has put us in a very strong financial position and has allowed us to continue to move forward. It's like a steady pace, but in the right direction. How we advance in our budgets. Factor that we take into consideration when we build our budget, it's called a teacher experience. And this, the Department of Human Resources holds together a lot of data on our teachers, years of experience, and then they report to the state, and the state then generates an index, and that index is compared against the state average. And if our index is higher than the state average, then we get an index back that's higher than 1.0, which means that we get to apply that factor to generate a little bit more revenues, to increase our budget, because in essence, what it's saying is you have a little more experience than the average in your teachers. Therefore, we recognize that your payroll is gonna be more expensive than the average. So here's this factor that you can use in your budget.
Okay.
That's what that is used
Mm-hmm.
for. Moving away from calculating the budgets and just a quick reminder of actual priorities, right, for next year. So major highlights in our M&O, or operating fund, continues to be heavily compromised in salaries and benefits, so we'll directly review on the compensation plan that you approve for next year. The board approved a 5% increase to all eligible employees. We also did a 2.5 adjustment to the certified placement guide. Keep in mind that this measure will only impact new hires, and that is to stay competitive with the market. There are also funding was allocated to absorb the 4% increased medical insurance premium for the employee only portion. Okay, we get this question quite often every year. But I saw in the presentation and it says that the district is paying for the 4% increase for the employee side only. Yeah, because my family increase, we can't afford to absorb everything. We're only absorbing for the employee side. And then as a result of the work put together by the IBB, we reinstated the leave buyback program, and HR presented that change in the board policy. Yeah, a lot of information. I am so sorry. I'll need my glasses. Changes in staffing. Right? We concentrate in staffing because our budget is all about the staff. So for Rio Rico High School, a new instructional coach position, stipends for a new sport, that would be flag football, a new stipend for an assistant golf coach, a second assistant coach for dance, an assistant swim coach, and then they will be sharing a security guard with Cuatimundi. So it's like a little bit of a minus for Rio Rico High School because it's just going to be a shared resource with Cuatimundi. Moving to San Cayetano, we are replacing the 0.5 assistants to the principal position with a full-time behavioral coach, suspending the elementary band FTE and replacing it with computers. And then we are consolidating the PE elementary teacher with the K-8 athletic coordinator. Cuatimundi, we see that again, up on the card, again, shared FTE with Rio Rico High School. And then a quarter of the K-8 athletic coordinator, because that position will be providing services to San Cayetano, Mountain View, Calabasas, and Cuatimundi. So we just like to complement the payroll, and we split that position accordingly. In Mountain View, same change as San Cayetano, replacing that 0.5 assistant to the principal, behavioral coach, suspending elementary band and replaced with computers, consolidating PE elementary teacher with the K athletic coordinator. In the area of Calabasas, talking about right sizing, reduction of 4 classroom teachers due to enrollment, adding a new paraprofessional for dance class, suspending the elementary band and replacing with computers, same as and aligned with the Mountain View and San Cayetano, consolidated PE elementary teacher with K-8 athletic coordinator, again, same change. And then suspension of the regular preschool operation, which we already had brought to your attention.
So does this mean, I'm sorry, does this mean that the elementary schools will no longer have band?
Correct.
And they haven't, for the last, I believe, 2 years that we have not been able to fill that role.
Yeah.
And so we kept trying to hire somebody, and it just, there's nobody that wanted to take that position. So with those funds, we wanted to make sure we utilize them in some way. So then that's, and we talked to decide what is the way we can use them. And so that's when we decided to have the computer class.
And I think that's better.
The technology, and I think that is something. Then just to highlight some of the K coordinator, just to remind the board that it's something we're excited about. That we'll be introducing elementary intramurals. So having sports for elementary this coming year. So that's something that we're really excited about, adding that position.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Moving on to staffing changes for departments. For teaching, learning and assessing department, they will be receiving a new FTE. And the title of that position is Learning and Professional Development Coordinator. For student services, based on student needs, 4 new paraprofessionals. And then we are suspending the instructional specialist for special education. I think it has to do with the same thing, not finding someone. And also the elementaries now with a full-time behavior position that should be able to address.
That absorbs that.
In the area of human resources, the part-time office specialist that we had this year, it's moving to full-time next year. In transportation, it's not a change in their total staffing, but it is a change in the way we're using the position. We repurposed safety and security trainer position back to dispatcher. We used to have a dispatcher transportation and increase the contract term to 12 months. Another thing that we always look at and try to align to better serve, be better prepared to welcome our students back into our buildings is the length of our contracts that we issued to the different positions. So there were 4 contracts that were modified where we added dates, right? And 4 areas is in essence to enhance the onboarding and the training, to have those positions better prepared, equipped to get back into their classrooms. So what are they? For long-term subs, we added 5 additional days, okay? So now their start date in the new year, it's going to be aligned with new teachers. Then for new teachers, we added 4 additional days to enhance their onboarding experience. Then 5 additional days for an alternative ed and computer paraprofessionals. And in this case, the start date was aligned with returning teachers. And then 2 additional days for PE paraprofessionals, which aligns them with returning teachers.
Just to highlight for the board, so now all of our new teachers will come in 2 weeks early.
2 weeks before.
Before they receive students, which we believe will allow them to, I mean, those of you that have been teachers, you know how, how many meetings and different things that you have. So now there'll be a much better schedule for them to be able to be in the classroom, get that support from their instructional coaches, their principals to be able to help them get prepared. And then adding 4 long-term subs, because we haven't treated long-term subs like regular teachers, but we know they're going to continue to be part of our district. And so the goal is to hopefully transition them into being teachers at some point. Long-term subs to actually be certified teachers. And so that's something that we have additional days for and support.
Things we lose funding, right? And that is the case of this slide. That's just highlighting that we have a change in the funding source for this position. The Office of the County Superintendent announced to us that we will no longer receive an allocation from his office for from the Forest Fees Fund. So we were funding half of the assistant principal at Rio Rico High School out of this funding source. We're bringing it back to MNO. Minor adjustments to department allocations. Human resources, as you are aware, we are experiencing turnover. So we are allocating some funds to have a successful onboarding for the new HR director.
And just to clarify that it's now an HR manager position back, HR manager.
Okay, my bad.
Okay.
Mhm.
That was part of our changes.
Another slide, a lot of information, my apologies. In this case, we're moving away from the operating fund, very heavily connected with salaries and benefits. That's why we focus in that area, because that accounts over 80% of the budget. Now we're going to transition to our capital fund, the fund that we can use for furniture, equipment, software, curriculum rotations, all of those areas. So I'm sharing with you the allocations by area. I can redo the amounts or just review them in your slide that you have in front of you. But we provide way at the top, you'll always find that curriculum department the strong drive of that commitment to our curriculum rotation, right? And instructional aids, followed by technology, which includes copier rotations, licensings, and set aside for technology replacements, followed by athletics, then facilities, we have then transportation, we have an allocation to rotate furniture and equipment for the schools. We have an allocation to fund the softwares that we use at the business office and the HR. Then we also keep a set aside of 75,000 in case the principals need something during the course, principals and departments, because this is open to departments as well. During the course of the school year that probably was not discussed during the budget meetings, or it came up as an emergency during the course of the school year. I already got an email from one of the principals. Is the budget capital request open already for the new year?
No.
But that is available. Allocation for student service equipment and software renewals, allocation for communication equipment and software renewals, allocation for fine arts equipment and uniforms, and a set aside of $2 million in contingency.
You still have that, right? Contingency, good.
And you know that contingency we can move. We can move it in capital, we can move it to M&O, we can move it in capital. I like to keep capital dollars. I've shared that philosophy of mine as to living within your means instead of borrowing on credit. I like that.
Very good.
One thing that we do know is that the classroom site fund amount increase for next year. So 792 to 842. We went ahead and do the split as per the program that you guys already approved. And that puts the money in the base pay of $2.4 million, the performance pay $769,000, and will fund district initiatives $768,000. The remaining bond dollars, we only have $524,000 left. We're pretty much done with that. We are looking at enhancing some of the security features with some of the cameras. But I see Mr. Verdugo approaching his mic. Turn it over, Mr. Verdugo. All yours.
I gotta mention just with the performance pay, it's now, or most of the majority of 301 is that teachers have always asked for is in their base pay. Yeah, so I just want to make sure we highlight that so that you're aware when teachers ask, that they still have to jump through the hoops and all that. There are some things that they still have to do, but majority of the money is in their base pay. I believe this year was like $12,000 was in their base pay. And so I think this year they earned close to 16,000. And I think that's a projected number, is close to 16,000 for next year as well in 301 monies, which is very good.
I've heard a lot of good things with teachers. They're like, wow.
Yeah, me
His
too.
paycheck was like, whew.
Mhm.
Yep.
301.
301s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Verdugo, for that. Grants at this time of the year, status quo, right? A lot of the applications, the state, but they're still state. So no changes there. The amounts that are in the budget forms are identical to last year's because we don't know, what is going to look like the final way. So once we get those final approvals on our grant applications, then we'll come back and report on those. And cash accounts are just aligned to ending cash plus projected revenue. Questions?
Before we get to questions, I just want to thank Ms. Brown for all of her work. I know it's been very, very difficult to continue to put together a budget with all the unknowns. So I commend her for all of her hard work. She continues to make sure that we're fiscally responsible, making sure that we're always in a positive shape. And as she mentioned, there are districts that are closing schools all across the state. And we don't have that issue. And we always make sure, and there's other districts that are not able to give raises this year. And we are, very fortunate to be able to not only give a cost of living raise, but all the way up to 5%. So we're in that sense. So I just want to again thank her for all of her continued hard work. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions from the board? Alma de la Riva?
No, no, Isela, your reports are always so detailed that it just leaves no room for questions.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Mr. Guerrero?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Ramirez?
Are we, getting the word out about not paying the, what is it, ACR?
Yes, we will continue to work on that. The ACR, that's something that we, for our retirees, I know we are starting to get more people that want to retire and come back or try to come to our district, knowing that them years of experience, and then as well as that they do not have to pay that penalty that for them to district. So it is something that we need to make sure we get out.
Yeah, we had mentioned that before, but I was wondering what we had done above and beyond the bar.
Yeah, nothing. We'll put together something and I'll work with Audra to get that out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr.?
Yeah, well, I had a bunch of questions, but I was gonna wait.
He's not, you're next.
Okay. So, I just, it kind of sticks in my craw because I've been hearing about this and it's absurd. And because people don't understand what you guys have done with regard to the non-certified positions, I think it is, when it comes to the holidays. And you know how the state or I think it was the auditors who recommended that we change the way we pay them. So essentially, the money's not spread out over this time that goes over the holidays, and it gets all crunched up. And I try to tell people when they approach me about it, because I see them at Garrett's all over the place, and they ask me, and I tell them, look, you're getting more in your paycheck, and it's on you to have to save that so that when you get to the holidays, you still have that same amount, but
You know, it's,
they just don't understand it, you know?
it's hard, Mr. Ramirez, but we can continue to act as their fiduciary agents. They need to manage their own funds. We're in essence pulling money back from them and spreading it over the course of the calendar, and that's not something that we're allowed to do anymore. So what we did last year is we had meetings on all the sites. We will do another round of meetings.
That's all I really wanted to hear, because I'm with you guys. I understand it. I fully understand it, but it's just that these crazy perceptions that people have, and you can't get that bug out of their head. You tell them straight out what's going on, and
I was gonna say, it's because they were treated as certified employees or salaried employees, and they're hourly, and so legally we have to pay them for the hours they work. And that's the only what we can pay them. What we were doing was technically, I don't want to say illegal, but it's not the recommended practice from the auditors that we were then holding money back and then paying them later at a different time. So we actually have to pay them for the hours they actually work. And I think that's what they don't understand.
I was mentioning to Mr. Guerrero earlier and before the meeting started about how, one person starts one falsehood, and then it's being in a small town. It's incredible how
It's like
things spread like
wildfire.
wildfire. And then it goes to another one and another one. And pretty soon they start saying, well, it's the superintendent's fault, and he's trying to hold all this. He's sitting on that pot of gold and, holding all that money from us. And really, it gets to be that absurd. So I was just wondering what we could do to be clear, but I guess that's all we're doing now and about all we can do. I mean, you made a really good point, which is we can't budget their money. We have no control over that, but I was just wondering, out of kindness, what we could do to try to make it clearer to them.
So 2 things that we're doing. Last year we did those informational meetings. I put up slides, did the presentation in English and Spanish, explained to them what their paycheck looked like, what it's going to look in the new year, using projected numbers, etc., etc. Then this year we'll have, again, those information meetings. But then also one thing that IBB, this concern came to IBB, right? That IBB thought of is, as we are reinstating the leave buyback program, right? The leave buyback program, or the old policy, would just allow you to cash out leave, buyback leave at the end of the school year.
Something like $55.
It was only at the end of the school year that you could do that. What we did is we allow the employees with the revision to policy to cash out days before those breaks when they don't get a full paycheck. They will choose to exercise that option. They don't have to. Now it's on them that if I want to save my days, and I know that in the pay period that's approaching the winter break, I'm not going to get a full paycheck, I can cash out days and kind of close that gap a little bit. Yeah.
And just to clarify, that those are at their hourly rates that they were hired.
And then we modify that.
Modified those that were been with us for years that were, because minimum wage was like $7.80 or something. So now we modified those to all the way up to minimum wage. So they'll get a full minimum wage, 15
and change.
and change now, hourly rate for that day. So we've modified as much as we could to really support them in being financially responsible for themselves.
That'll be a piece of information that we will add to our presentations.
Okay, I'm just wondering whether there's anything else. I mean, it sounds kind of silly. I'm sure some of my colleagues are thinking, they're whipping a dead horse here. It's their responsibility. I just hate to see them feel like that, at that point. That a lot of people don't understand how Social Security works either. And if people didn't step in and do something to create that situation, they wouldn't have anything, if they were left to budget their money. It's kind of the same, going back to the same.
Understand, Mr.
I'm sorry, I just feel for them, those that don't seem to be able to budget well, but okay. Moving on, next thing. Let's see here, the safety videos. Are the new teachers being given the safety videos ahead of time in those 2 weeks?
Yes.
So they can knock them out then and.
Yep.
And what about the veteran teachers? Do they get them?
They
early?
get them early as well.
They go out before they return.
Yeah, they go out before they even come back, so they can start to
That's awesome.
as soon as they can. And again, they're required by the trust.
Right, because you touch a real raw nerve, upon a raw nerve with teachers, which is, they come to school and they want to get going, like you said, and then they have meetings and meetings after meetings, and they feel like they can never go in their room and get ready and do the things to really start the school year. So I was happy to hear that. I mean, they're not going to be too thrilled about coming in 2 weeks early, but there are some good points there. But I like to see that. As many things given to the veteran teachers early, so I mean, many of us here taught, and we know how that is, and the pressure. You always feel like you're in the squeeze play, to get school started. You want to take care of all the bureaucratic stuff, but at the same time, you want to get going in your room. So, what else? Oh, a recap of the facilities, Mr. Verdugo. I was wondering how you went about that. I remember you mentioning in a meeting how we went about the new facilities because of the replacement of Sodexo. I was wondering how we went about everything, how you moved everything around. I was wondering if you could just give me a recap
Of facilities as far as,
how you took care of, because we switched. We didn't have a director for everything. We didn't have a Sodexo for everything. Some of it we managed locally, didn't we?
yeah, Dr. Linderville was the one that really oversaw that because and they did have somebody that was remote. I believe Billy was.
He was here.
He was
part
here
of the-
occasionally, but Dr. Linderville was the one that oversaw all of and to be honest, it was actually better. They did a much better job the last 2 months trying to maintain the contract, I believe. But that was really, I would have to commend, and you'll see during my presentation, I'll talk about facilities and the role that Dr. Linderville played in making sure that they continued to.
Wait for that, but was there any savings at all?
No,
The
and because the
training,
contract was the contract.
Yeah.
And so there was nothing that we could pull back from them at that point.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Are you done?
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Beach.
Yeah. Mr. Ramirez, I never worried about those videos. My student aide always, did it for me, so. I did score 100 on all of them.
Qué grosero, qué grosero. Oh my God. Oh.
I had two student aides. Yeah, so they're real good. And my fellow humans, you know, with the low birth rate, chickens are also experiencing a low birth rate.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the price of eggs are way up there, but other than that, you know what, Sally, you do an outstanding job. You're very conservative, but I think that's the way to be. You know, like you say, other districts in Phoenix that are shutting down schools, how could you not see that or plan for that? You know,
Very well said.
so, not only your current vision of this year, but I know you're looking 5 years, 10 years down the road, looking at those birth rates in our kindergarten up, and that sort of projects. So appreciate all you do and your team. I know you have it behind you, so good job on the budget. Yep.
Yeah, same thing. You know that I've always said, you know, that, I'm so happy that you're with us because, you know, I mean, you know, you dot your i's, you cross your t's, you got, I mean, you know what's going on. You see the vision, you know, of later on, and, you know, you and your team are just so well prepared. And, you know, all of the questions that we have or that anybody else has, you know, we come in now, going back to what Mr. Ramirez was saying, you know, it's like, you know, how much can we, you know, we cannot, you know, provide that service that our community wants, or, you know, that our people want, you know, because we can't, they have to learn on their own. But the more we try to educate them, I think, you know, the better it, you know, it has to get a lot better. You know, they don't understand, you know, that when they had it before, it was stretched. Okay. So they were used to knowing that even whether they worked or not worked, okay, they still were going to get the same paycheck. Okay. And stuff. And, you know, and teachers and I think administrators and everybody does that. Okay. Because we don't want to not get a check, you know, at a certain amount, at a certain time, you know, and that's what's happening to them. And that's why they're like, you know, because they have asked me a lot too, you know, they, you know, Bible, and it's like, you need to budget, you need to, you know, save that money that you're getting extra. Okay. That's the money you need to put aside, because when this time comes around, you know, and again, you know, you've done a lot of other things, you know, to make sure that, you know, that they, again, but they have to, you know, do the process, you know, they have to have enough days, they have to be here, they have to be present, or else they don't get that days. If they're already absent, you know, 5 times during that month and they want to get more days, it's like, hello, you don't have that money. You know what I'm saying? So as long as we educate them, I think that's what we really need. And I think maybe in the schools, you know, the principals or something, they can have somebody with, not the principals, because you guys have too much to do already, but, you know, but somebody, you know, that, you know, like, I don't know, that will explain it to them, because a lot of times, you know, there's a lot of people that you have to not just say it once or twice or 3 times. It has to go in, I mean, so many times, and yet they still don't understand. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so, but anyway, thank you. Thank you for, I mean, a great presentation as always. Fantastic. Thank you. And thank you to your team too. Kudos to you guys.
You guys gonna be like in Lucille Ball, you got some splaining to do.
You got some splaining to do, okay? And nothing with the chocolates. Okay? And no playing with the chocolates. All righty.
And it is an action item.
Huh?
It is an action item.
That one is an action? Okay, so then recommended action, motion to approve the fiscal 2025-2026 proposed budget as presented.
So moved.
Okay, second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion passes. All righty. We move on. Subject B, 2024-2025 Superintendent Performance-Based Pay Goals Determination, Mr. Verdugo. And that one, we do have this.
You have the presentation.
That's the presentation.
As we get started, just to remind the new board members that this is something that we could do in executive session, but I choose to do it publicly because I think it's important for the public to know what I think I've done through this year and have that discussion open with the board, because I think it's something that I think for transparency. Also, it's important to share what we're working on as a district and what I would like to continue to do. Also, as we get started tonight, I want to thank the board for their continued support And even when we agree, disagree, Mr. Ramirez always brings that up, that it's positive. I think we have those conversations and I don't think anybody wants to be a yes man or the things of that nature. We want to have those difficult conversations and do what's best for our school district. And
Exactly.
is the same thing. Given this presentation, it talks a lot about what our team does. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention is I'm very fortunate to have great principals, great team, like Ms. Brown, Dr. Lunderville, that support not only me, but the district in moving our district forward. Particularly, like I said, mentioned even with Ms. Padilla being gone today, presenting on what's happening in our district, we are in the vanguard of always trying to be the best district in Arizona and really to try to be the best in the country that we possibly can be. And just like tonight, Daniel Woodburn, it's an exemplary just of the type of students we have. Somebody that's in the top 1% of the entire country taking ACT and recognizing students like that with the things that we've been able to do with our district. So with that, we'll go ahead and start. Again, we talk about the bar, that it's always trying to get better every day. And I just always want to make sure that we look at our values and try to make sure that our goals that I have align with our values and making sure that we're really living those values with all the work that we do as a district. So goal number one is our food achievement. And this is probably the one that we spend obviously most of our time as a district on, and probably the most difficult one to attain because our students, and I share this when I speak at a lot of different things that our students come in, not only I wouldn't say they're behind because being a dual language student doesn't mean that you're behind. It just means that you have some growth that you need to do from a language development standpoint. And 90% of our students come in speaking Spanish as their first language. And so they have to have that language acquisition. And so it takes them a little bit extra time by the time they get to third grade, but and then they still have that test that they need to take. And so it's really our student achievement. And I always brag about our students being smarter than everybody because they can speak 2 languages. And there's a lot of science behind that. And people, okay, you're just saying that. And I'm like, no, there's actual science behind that our students, even though they may not score as high as Daniel on every test, but from an actual intellect, being able to speak to dual language is very important for not only our students, but just all students in general. So with that student achievement and accountability, we'll demonstrate growth. And this year, we haven't been able to share the scores yet, but we did show growth in all of our scores, which we'll see what that equates to on the grade from the state. We won't know that until November, but they did improve as well as our Zealous scores. For the most part, improved across the district. We did have one site that was stagnant and went down, but we think that's because we had long-term sub in that situation. But for the most part, all of our schools improved their scores. And this last year, when we did receive the letter grades, again, you saw the district presentations from each of the school sites. We had an A, B, and C for all the district schools, and our district letter grade was a B. And so that's something that is good, but again, we want to be all A's, yes, and that's always our goal. Other student achievement accomplishments that we've been able to do, again, we continue to have our technology, and one of the things that we're working on, again, as I mentioned, with new positions, we're always looking at what is working, what is not working, and how can we improve. So with our technology, we know that having one-to-one is a good thing, but for the principals and how can we improve that experience for our students is we threw out that technology, but we didn't provide the support or how to use it, especially in the early grade. So that's why we're adding that elementary technology back. And now that we have those tools, we want to make sure that they know how to use those tools correctly. Dual enrollment continues to be a positive for our district. We've been working with Pima. We met with them. Mr. Lopez and I met with them a few weeks ago. to talk about how we can continue to grow our dual enrollment, because we still have that goal of our students graduating with an associate's degree. And so we still lead Santa Cruz County in dual enrollment. It's not even close. I think the next closest was about half of what our dual enrollment has been with enrollment wise. So we're very happy to have that. Also, the middle school, we added some courses down to the middle school level to have middle school, high school, what we call dual enrollment. And so we're continuing working with that, and the possibility of adding additional courses like some history as well as science down at the middle school level that will receive high school credit, so that they can get even more college credit when they get to high school. So we're looking at those expansions. Personalized learning implementation continues. Students are starting to use that language. When we met with the students, with some of the board members, especially like when they were talking about how the personalized learning has started to affect in a positive way, as well as the standards-based grading, how they're understanding and they like the new grading system, which was great to hear from many of our students. And then our graduation rate continues to be above 90, but we wanted to get 96 to 100%. And that's our goal is to be at that 100%, you know, and so it's obviously very difficult to get there, but I think it's something that eventually, before I retire, that's the goal. We want 100%. Yeah. And again, continue with the student achievement and accountability. Again, this is our biggest area. One of the things I just wanted to highlight, the IEP process, we continue to do that. We just, at the beginning of June, we had our meetings with the school sites. They're out of school and then they come right back, and teachers working, and we've shared that with the board already. But the two things I wanted that I put in bold down there, I think is one of the things that we committed to during the welcome back, that I was going to have some site visits and all the lunch and learn activity with the board. And I appreciate the board that were able to attend. And I think the teachers and students appreciated that, having the conversations and giving feedback. And we'll continue those. And I talked to Ms. Vasquez about it, that we would actually add either a fall and a spring, or possibly one each quarter, and meet with different students and different teachers, so we can get as many of them and get some more feedback, because I think it was very positive to hear the good and the bad from them. And I think we learned a lot during that time. And then again, one of the things that we're also doing is revisiting our strategic plan with Ms. Padilla. She's the head of that committee. And we have a group, including Mr. Beach as a board member. We have parents, we have students on there, and it's been very positive. She's doing a great job. And one of the things that we are working on with the strategic plan is that we know it's going to take at least a year to get there. We'll start to have some subcommittees in the fall where we'll speak with actual subgroups out in the community to get feedback from them about the direction that we're moving, because we want to have a really strong strategic plan, even though we do now want to continue to revisit it and even get better of what we're doing in the community. Because one of the things that we've talked about, especially with that group that we're getting to, is what does it mean to actually get a diploma from Rio Rico High School? And what does it mean to be a graduate of Rio Rico High School? What does that portrait of a graduate truly mean, and how does the strategic plan fit into that? And so we're working on that from the student achievement and accountability standpoint. So with that, and I'll pause there if there's any questions, comments about that goal one, but my recommendation is approaches, just because we dropped from an A-rated district to a B-rated district. And so I feel that we're still on track, but again, I'm always my own worst critic when it comes to these things. And so I put approaches. So any questions about goals?
No, I just couldn't help it. Flashing back to when I told you the first time you did this out in the open public, that it was nice that you didn't conduct your dealings like Gregor Samsa. And Steve died laughing because he understood the illusion that I was just flashing back. That I kind of miss being around for those literary illusions, but I think it's great. that you do it all out in the open. Commendable.
Me neither. I'm very proud of you for being so transparent. I review. Thank you.
So goal number two, the high quality staff. And this is one of the things that we continually work on. I know during the budget presentation, Mr. was talking about the retirees, and that's one of the things you'll see that I highlighted in here was that it's something for our district that separates us. I think we're starting to get out because I think we're getting people internally like, oh, I can retire and come back and still be where I left off and receive my retirement. I think that that's something that is keeping our high quality staff in place that we have and then rewarding them for their years of service within our district. Because I know that obviously you as a retiree, I think it's something that you would really appreciate, having the ability to do that. And one of the things that I put on here, when you're part of our team, we know, again, I always share that you're part of a special team. We're all on the same page, trying to work hard. And the values that I think our district truly represents is that relentless work ethic, that we're always committed to being working above the bar, trying to get better and quest for excellence every day. Trying to just get as good as we can be every day, that we're not settling. And I think it's easy for many people to settle. And people always ask me, well, I can relax, I can settle, but that's not one, who I am, and I believe that that's not who our district represents, because Daniel's a perfect example of our kids that we serve. And he is an exceptional kid, but we have a lot of Daniels out there, and a lot of kids that aren't on that same level, but still need our support. And we work hard to meet the needs of every student in our district. So with that, quality staff, again, to encourage retiring retirees, we'll experience more teachers taking advantage of that. We continued our longevity stipends for all employees, our electronic application, making it easier to get a job within our district. One of the things that is very, very positive is, again, the 5% salary increase. Continue to provide the insurance coverage, including Mexico Telec, which is about, we absorb that 4%, which is about $7,100 per employee. And then grow our own model. And I know we have 3 of them here tonight, but this next year, we're going to have all 5 of our principals be Rio Rico High School graduates.
Oh, yeah.
Which is,
I know. I always.
and when I shared that at a conference that I was recently at, they're like, oh, how did that happen? I was like, we have great people that want to be back in our community, and they are committed to our community and grow our own. And so seeing them come up from being teachers in our district to assistant principals and now principals, it's really an amazing feat for us. And I think in a positive way to be able to have all of our principals be Rio Rico High School graduates. So I think it's great. And so again, the new TLA position, providing support for our new teachers, leadership, professional development opportunities for not only our certified, but our classified individuals. We have, I think, 4 of our teaching staff that will be principal certified, that we actually assisted them with. So I think there's a lot of positive that we're utilizing to maintain and keep our high quality staff. And then the last one there, which I think is the board probably hears a lot of, class size, always class size. And we've been able to meet or exceed that with a lot of our school sites have some of the smallest class sizes in Southern Arizona, so which is a positive. So with that, the recommendation is to met this goal, but any questions that answer about the quality staff?
Questions? Questions? Mr.
Yeah, 4 of those guys were my students, but
Which is awesome.
yeah, what they don't realize is that they still owe me detention.
Ándale, ándale. Beach.
No, I think with you're doing everything possible to maintain that high quality staff that we have here and entice people from other districts to come here because of the things that you implemented. So you're on that goal.
Yeah, when we went, when we went to I was up in Flagstaff and, you know, we were together and we were talking and, you know, and some of the stuff that we offered and you'd be surprised. I mean, it's like, we go above and beyond and this is because of you, because I mean, there's a lot of people that are like, what? Are you kidding? You know, the absorption of the money once they retire, you know, and then they come back, okay, they've never heard of that. And I'm saying, I told them, go to my website, go to our website, you know, check us out, you know, see what we've got, see what we have to offer. And they said, well, how many years are they gonna allow me? And I said, all of your years. No, you know, in other places that they've gone, they only allow them like, you know, 10 years, a maximum or whatever. I said, no, if you've been a teacher for 25, 30, whatever the years that you have, we will give you those years. So, you know, and that, again, that's your vision and that's your, you know, and I really.
And again, it's if they're quality. That's the other thing. I mean.
Oh, no, definitely.
We want to make sure that, if they're highly qualified and they're quality people.
Yes, definitely, definitely. But I mean, if they've been a teacher at the same place for 25 years, you know, then I think something's good about it. You know, that's kind of like a goodbye, but if they've been at 25 schools in 25 years, then you gotta go, something's wrong with you, you know, but like I said, you know, I was telling them, you know, to look into our website and see, you know, and make contact and, you know, so that you can see everything that we offer. Also, one of the really positive was the Mexico, you know, insurance. Oh my God, they were like, no way. And I said, oh yeah. The insurance says that that's our, you know, that's Missy Stella Brown. I said, you know, she made sure, you know, that we had that and, you know, and you get, you know, it's much better for us because I mean, in the insurances, they would accept that instead of another one because it's so much cheaper, you know, and stuff. And two, and then we're saving money for the district, for the teachers or, you know, for their families and stuff. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, it's I think we're very teacher staff driven that we
Yes.
try to support. And that is another example of our IBB. I don't think many districts also have IBB where it's everybody has a voice. And so I think that's been a positive for our district.
Exactly.
It's school and district climate. And so again, provide early, vibrant, respectful campuses, including efficient and well facilities. We had to change our
Yeah.
service group. I think Mr. Ramirez was asking that as well during our budget conversation. Because they weren't meeting our expectations. And I want to thank Dr. Linderville for stepping up and taking over at the end of the contract to really push them to meet our expectations. And I think if they would have been working as hard as they were the last few months, we would have never ended that contract because they were finally meeting our expectations.
Presentation too.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, Mr. Beach. And I think I think that they understood that we were not happy. And so they tried to meet that expectation. But again, at that point, it was a little bit late, but they did finally get to where we wanted them to be. So the appearance again was not where we wanted, but improved as the year progressed due to the contract being sent out for bid. Some of the highlights with our facilities, the Fieldhouse completion, which is a great facility. And we still need to get the board down there to take a tour, but I was hoping to have the equipment in there before we did that. And so hopefully that'll be in July. So we'll schedule a meeting for that to actually go down and take a tour because I think you'll be really impressed with that. The size of the building, having the locker room and just the way that it looks inside to be able to utilize that for many different educational opportunities. The swimming pool, I had to revise this a couple times because the number of students signed up for swim lessons is now 440 as of.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yes. And, you know, and if the board remembers way back when we were going through the bond and everything, and everybody's questioning, that was one of the things. Are people going to use the pool? And I can definitely say,
Oh, yeah.
yes, emphatically, they are using the pool. We have, you know, throughout the day, not only the students that are in swim lessons, but, you know, up to 200 students or community members using the pool on a daily basis, you know, throughout the day. So it's definitely being used. And then once we complete the field house with the exercise facility, that'll be the other community use area that we'll be able to allow community to use that. So we'll have the pool, tennis courts, the track, the walking path around it, the district there. So I mean, a lot of the hub that we've always wanted, I think is what we're actually getting towards. And so but again, I want to thank Audra and her team, the lifeguards, and doing all of that work and with the pool. Again, 440. When she told me today, I was like, wow, I guess we revised the presentation because I was at 370 the last time. And so we're all the way up to 440. And then just some of the other things that we're working on, smart board technology using overlays, but I think we're going to now switch to the actual smart boards to try to have some pilot this year with some technology and try to provide some more tools for our teachers to be able to use. And then the all district welcome back continues to grow, and we have a lot of positive there. Climate is some of the opportunities for students, which is on this goal as well. Again, expansion of our alternative, including enrichment opportunities for our middle schools, Spanish 1, 2, algebra, and we're already adding the ELA, looking at geometry and adding science and some history to that as well. CTE support, transportation to Tucson continues to grow. And one of the things that I want to share with the board, we're in discussions to look at how we can create our own CTE program. We haven't really announced that to them yet because we have some process that we need to go through because that would entail leaving the JTED and creating our own. And that's something that we'll be looking at because we want to have our own local programs, because it is great that we're able to go to Tucson, but the transportation, the board, as you saw during the budget, we added another transportation for them to be able to drive back and forth. But it is difficult on our students to be able to have to go where they're here in the morning and then they go and then they get back at 8 o'clock at night. And it limits them, for instance, some of the student athletes. They are not able to participate in their athletic programs if they're committed to the JTED programs. So in the future, we want to be able to have our own. So we're looking at ways to do that. But in the meantime, we do have a lot of support for our CT program as it continues to grow. As I mentioned there, we continue to push our dual enrollment. We want all of our students to have, currently, the requirement is to have 1 to 3 college courses, or we're trying to push them until we can get to that associate's degree level. Elementary science continues, and we're adding again the technology. Counseling grant, we still have all of our sites with a counselor, which many districts do not. So we still have counselors at every school site. Again, valuing all of our stakeholders, making sure that they're part of our conversations. Thank the board for reviewing the discipline and expectations this last year with the change in dress code. I think the board would be very happy to see what it did. And cell phone focus, improved discipline, 23% less discipline referrals at Rio Rico High School. So it had a big impact at Rio Rico High School for the number of referrals. So I think commend the board for taking that on and having the will to make sure that we follow through as a district. Again, camera and safety measures, we're still working on all of those, adding some cameras now that we have. We thought everything was in place. We realized there's some blind spots, and so we're adding a few more cameras. But overall, it's really helped enhance all of the school sites discipline-wise. The keyless entry is beginning. So we started the process in the spring with a few of them, including the district office, which I will tell you has made our district office staff feel very safe. Before, people could just walk in and out of the doors. And now they're locked automatically, and you have to have your ID or wrist entry to get in. So I think it makes them feel safe. And then security coordinator, we add that position, and has been very positive to be able to help with security guards training, as well as having all of our safety plans reviewed and being able to make sure that they're being followed. The recommendation is met that goal. So again, any questions that I can answer about school?
No? Mr. Ramirez?
No questions. I just wanted to mention how we got attacked pretty fiercely by the critics Cool. And they went even so far as to say that we wouldn't be able to maintain it. And they even compared us to Patagonia, which was another fractured fairy tale. They said that we would be like them and they would have an empty pool in the future, which is absurd when you think of the use and the demand for it. So
Yeah, again, thank the board for their support in doing that. And I think it's, from the swim team, I think it's gonna grow. I think that the swim lessons, just the use, teams, private parties, all the different things that we'll be able to utilize that for. I think one of the coolest events that I think happened this year was the senior sunset, where they were able to sit in the pool, an entire senior class at the swimming pool before graduation. So I think that, there's just a lot of uses for that community entity to be able to so thank you.
Mr. Beach?
I walked around every single classroom, every school earlier on in the year. Our students are amazing. Our staff are amazing. You could ask a kid a question. They're very respectful. When we went to the high school, "Where's me? You're not wearing that shirt." I'm sorry, miss. They're just so respectful.
Yeah.
So, and that's a testament to our principals and the staff, because they model that. So overall, school climate was outstanding. Dave, when we walked around the schools and had our little discussions with the teachers and the students, I'd say 90% of it was positive, and the rest was just ways that we could improve on stuff that we're already doing.
Yeah.
I think what's going to be huge is those smart boards. We can get those in the classrooms. Just from my personal experience, all my curriculum was on that smart board. I could come in year after year, modify it, enhance it, small group instructions. You can throw videos on it. They're so amazing. What you can do on the computer, you can do on that smart board. So I think that'll be a game changer once we start getting them in our classroom. But overall, school climate, outstanding.
Yep. Same thing, 100% what he said and everything else. I think one of the other things that is going to be very, very beneficial for our students is that one-on-one for the elementary kids. I think that right now, a lot of the elementary kids, they push the buttons here and there, whatever, but they don't know exactly, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be like a deeper, learning process for them to know their computers much better. And that way, get them more involved in the school, get them more involved in their, in what they're doing, in their daily, stuff that they have to do. But fantastic job, Mr. Rizzo. What can I say? Thank you.
The whole goal is community involvement. So it takes a team to do all of the community involvement. We got a lot of our staff. Dr. Linville's in numerous boards and other things. Ms. Brown is on the trust board and involved with ASBO. All of our principals are involved in different things, as well as the numerous boards that I'm involved with, not only locally, but statewide and then nationally with West Ed. So, the one thing that I really tried to focus on this year was attendance and participation in school side events, and I need to continue to do a better job of that. But trying to get to as many of the events as possible. I did watch a lot of our live streams for sports, but I couldn't get to some, and found a lot of, watching our teams and doing those type of things. But we're the community and civic group presentations, getting out. Ms. Brown and I are going to get out and talk about the treasurer issues with a lot of our community, what that means for us in the fall. Because we still get a lot of questions, how is it affecting you? Why are you not shutting down because of the loss of those funds? What does it really mean? So explaining and educating, just like we're talking about educating staff about their use of their funds, educating the community about how we're using our district funds, because I think it's important for them to know. So having a lot of district community presentations on sharing what we're doing is important. And we've done that always. We've always done that. And I think that's why we've been able to pass our bond and override, is because we always go out and we share, again, transparently, all of our information of what we're doing, what are we using our funds for, how is it affecting this community and our school district. Just also now I wanted to highlight a couple of my board memberships on the Azialis. I am now elected the treasurer, which is a good thing. I'll be relying on Ms. Brown for that.
Another stack.
You didn't know you were gonna have
I
more.
didn't know I had an extra job. I was like, I can do any other position but treasurer, and of course, what do I get elected as?
Yeah.
Treasurer.
Ask him if you could be a CFO.
Yeah, no, I want to do that. And then on Wested, I was elected as the vice chair. So which is another, I think, positive thing for our district, have that representation. And then also continue to be on the AIA executive board, which has been something that I had to spend a lot of time. I didn't realize how that was, but it's been a positive to be able to be part of that and represent our community. And many of the votes that I've taken have represented Hispanic culture for representation that needs to be represented in a lot of different ways for students that are in hardships and transfer issues and things like that. So it's been very positive to be able to do that and represent our community as well. So again, there's just a lot of community thing that we're part of. Also wanted to commend Audra for her work as the new communications person and outreach, taking over for Shannon and Mr. Fanning, filling two roles in one. She has done an outstanding job transitioning into that. Our newsletters continue to be a positive. One of the things that we're going to continue to work on is press releases, and then getting back to, I know it's been a question and I didn't put it on here, but I will commit to it because I get this question constantly. When are you going to start doing videos again? When are you going to start doing videos? And I'm like, well, you can read the newsletter, but they like, well, you just give us a video of what's in the newsletter. And they like that for whatever reason. And so I've had a ton of requests to do the videos. And so we'll work on that this fall to get working on the videos again. But I think this is one of probably our greatest strengths, or my greatest strength is really being involved with the community and representing our district on a local, state, and national level. So my recommendation is meets the goal.
Riva? No?
No.
Mr. Cabello?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Ramirez?
There's no questions. I just think you've done a really good job, and I've seen you, even as you had mentioned earlier, when you had mentioned disagree, and I thought, yeah, when we would talk about, I used to say, yeah, we can disagree, and it doesn't mean that we have dissent or disloyalty. I got to see you in action and you under the heat, and really heated moments during COVID, especially, was really tough. But you guys always managed to take the ship in good waters, and so I want to commend Dr. Lunderville too, because I got to know her better too over the years. Even though we were colleagues at the high school, we used to talk about basketball. But it's kind of cool when you get to know people better and you understand that even though you have these differences, you're still trying to shoot for the same thing. So at any rate, I think you've done a really good job, Dave. Good job.
Mr. Beach?
Yeah, Community Involvement Day, doing an outstanding job. I know anytime the community has a question, I remember they came in, why is our taxes being, and you just winged it, Isela, impromptu, can you get up there and explain the tax base? You're very transparent in that way. It's working with TUBAC, working with the different organizations around here and letting them know your vision, our school vision. I don't know how you talk to a school superintendent, Alfredo Velasquez, but all of a sudden we have $30,000 for a pool. So
Oh, yeah.
that's you getting out there and hustling. So yeah, you're doing a good job.
I have to give credit to Dr. Lunderville for that. She worked that magic.
All righty.
You were the one that worked the magic with Mr. Again, what can I say, Mr. Verdugo? I'm very, very proud of everything that both of you have done, all three of you. I mean, all of the community knows that they All they have to do is ask, ask the question and you'll give them the answers, because why? Because they're there, because that's what we're doing, okay? That's what you're doing. That's what you guys are doing. And you're doing what's best for our students, our teachers, and our community, and it shows. So thank you, and thank you very much.
And it is an action item. This is my recommendation, but again, the board can change or, anything they would like to, but it's the recommendation. It is. Thanks.
Do we ask any questions? Does anybody have any questions about this one? Okay, are we ready to make the motion? Okay, recommended action. Motion to approve the 2024-2025 superintendent performance-based pay goal determination, okay, as presented. Second.
You made the motion.
I know, he's second. Okay, but
He didn't give me a chance to, put Mr. Beach off here.
I know.
Both stalled.
Yeah, we're about, okay. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Verdugo. Oh, my God. He threw me off, okay, because I was expecting Mr. Beach to say it, okay? And then he says it. I apologize. Anyway, subject, Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District, policies, Mr. Verdugo.
No policies.
Nothing? Oh, okay, so we don't even have to do a motion, right? Okay, next one, okay, subject D, propose and prioritize topics as possible, dates and times for future board meetings, Mr. Verdugo.
Just, the next governing board meeting is July 8th. And also those who will be attending ASBO is July 16th or 19th.
Through the 19th, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and then, future topics, any, that the board would like, is not on the list.
Okay, so then I'll ask, okay, does anybody want to put anything on the list? Mr. Arriba? No?
No.
Mr. Guerrero? Mr. Ramirez?
No.
No, Mr. Beach? No, I don't either, okay, moving on. The consent agenda, approval of the consent agenda, Mr. Verdugo.
Matter there?
There's nothing?
Yeah, no, it's,
Hold on. Okay, consent agenda. Okay, any member on the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed as regular agenda item or items upon the request of any board member. Does any board member have any requests? Mr. Guerrero? Mr. Beach? Nope, I don't either. Okay, so recommended action, motion to approve, accept, and ratify the consent agenda as presented.
So move.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, recommendation passes. Oh my God, okay.
Throwing you off.
They are, it's
Got a
horrible.
sense of humor over there.
No, it's horrible. Okay, so anyway, and I will adjourn this meeting at 6:37.